When using a compass, you can incorporate an enormous amount of geometry without woodworkers realizing they're learning geometry. For example, the point that goes in the center, a point is something that has no dimension. There's no up, there's no down, right, left, front, back. It's just a point. Once you'd have a point and you add distance to it, you have a direction. If you have 2 points and connect them with a line, you now have a segment. Now, a great exercise with a compass is to try and figure out the middle of something. For example, where do you think the middle of this line is? I encourage woodworkers to guess, just by eye. And there's a great book called By Hound and Eye by Jim Tolpin and George Walker that you should explore, which has many exercises that these came from. So for example, I think the middle is here. I think it's actually there, but for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to guess there. I would take my compass, I would set my pin in one end, and I'd set the pencil to be there. And then I'd draw an arc. An arc is simply a part of a circle. Then I do the same thing on the other side. And I realize that what I thought was the center is not the center. However, it's a lot easier to estimate a small distance than a long distance. So I try again, make my center there. Do the same exercise. And again, I'm slightly off. But on the third try, I know it'll be spot on perfect. Now what's interesting is, let's say I had a line. This is useful, for example, if you want to estimate the middle of the board, which we do in one of the projects. So we draw a line. Our points in this case are the ends of the board. And we say, I think that's the center. Maybe there. So we estimate, we adjust our compass, and we draw our arc. And in this case, I was right. That is the center. Now, a further property that's fascinating is if you have a line and you want to figure out the perpendicular or the right angle of that line, you can do so by drawing 2 arcs that intersect at 2 points. So we draw one arc here. We draw one arc here. Oops, we slip. And we see that they intersect at 2 points. Those intersection points are always the middle of this line, and they're a right angle or perpendicular to that line. So if we had a piece of wood and we weren't sure if it was perpendicular or not, we could use this to check. So now we've got right angles. We've effectively done a proof that this is 90 degrees. So you can do a lot of geometry with a compass. Another exercise is if we make 2 circles and connect them. So we'll make one circle here. We'll note our point. We'll draw a line through that point. And we make a second circle anywhere on that line. We'll see that if we connect this point and this point, we'll have a right angle. And we can start drawing interesting shapes. For example, using this point, connecting this and these two, we suddenly get a triangle. So you can start proving all sorts of geometric shapes from triangles to squares to rectangles, just by drawing a series of circles with a compass. The compass can also be used to estimate segments along a length. For example, let's say I wanted to add 5 nails along the length of this board. I could use the compass to estimate. I could say, all right, I think this is 1/5 the distance of the board. Well, let's try it. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm wrong. But I'll note this, and I'll try and estimate 1/5 of this distance. I think that's about here. Now we try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little closer. Expand a little more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Spot on. So people often ask, well, what do you do when the tip doesn't have a pencil? Well, you could make little marks. So we know that this is 1. There's our mark. Here's 2. There's our mark. Here's 3. Mark. 4. Mark. And here's 5. So with that, we know that we can have 4 nails that mark 5 sections evenly spaced. There's another tool called a divider that does this job even better. But in a pinch, you can use the compass.